Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Meta Cafe. Grab your cup of coffee or tea, sit back and enjoy some astrology, human design, and gene keys. And happy Monday to everyone. It is the first Monday I feel like we can actually do something this week, right? Where I don't have doom and gloom or don't do anything kind of energy hanging around. So be prepared. Get your running shoes on and get ready to take some action this week. And literally the new moon solar eclipse on Saturday set the stage for us to be able to do that. Of course, it happens on a Saturday. It happens later in the day on a Saturday. So if you're, excited about doing something for business this year, then of course that wasn't the best time to get started. And then there was Sunday where Uranus changed directions and moved to forward motion, and um the end of the week like that, or the beginning of the week, depending on how you look at it, is also not on a business day. So in the background, perhaps a lot of planning could have been done and, setting the stage and just getting prepared. But today being Monday, the first day of the work week, we have our fleet-footed shoes on now, and we can actually fly, taking steps toward our goals. And indeed, not only is that apparent in the astrology for the week, but also the human design for the week. So yesterday, I couldn't get myself organized around anything except I managed to get well, you see, that's not quite true. I organized myself around getting Christmas decorations put away. I organized myself around cleaning out certain, closets and so forth to make room for Christmas decorations to be put back. And, that felt good. I got laundry caught up. There were a lot of things I got done yesterday, but nothing around my business. And later I went, oh my gosh, I better hurry up and get my weekly astrology column written. So I did, but then I did not have time to actually put it in newsletter format. So hopefully you guys follow my blog and you got a copy of the astrology for the week. If not, we're going to be talking about that today. So we'll look ahead at the week, and then we'll bring it back and look at what is going on for today. So looking ahead at the week, we have the moon today in Aquarius. So we start the week by being able to look upside down, see things in a new way. It is Uranus territory when we're dealing with Aquarius. Uranus is now all systems go. So we have a real ability to be inventive, to reimagine ourselves, to reimagine what's possible, and to be able to take action steps on what is possible, not just what has always been, right? This is a real interesting time. I hope you guys are hearing me out there. I do see Mimi this morning. Good morning. Michelle, good morning. And Colleen. But guess what? None of your pictures are showing up on your little icons. So it makes it feel like maybe I'm not out there being heard. So I'm talking to myself as usual, right? So overall, the week begins, like I said, in a very inventive, imaginative way with the moon in Aquarius, then moves into the moon moves out of Aquarius and into Pisces, where we have more of that feel-good sort of creative imagination energy, highly intuitive as we get toward the ending of the week. And once we get to the weekend, the moon is in Aries, and Aries is always that double-pronged sort of approach to things. One where we can be in conflict and confrontation, but on the other hand, we can just find our way forward with action. And so we have a pretty good week on tap, but some points at which we can sort of be in conflict a little bit, in particular, because if we're feeling really high energy and we're feeling really good, we want to take steps, right? And so sometimes we're just doing things because we have a pathway forward, and it may not be the right way for us to begin something or for us to connect with something. And so we may find, a lot of us, that we are in fits and starts, right? We take a step forward and we go, nah, shouldn't have done that. And then we pull it back, and then we take another step. And maybe that time we're on the actual path of our lives or the path of our destinies. So we may have times where things are going back and forth this week, but for the most part, favored is taking action. So today, now let's look a little bit ahead at the week. Some of the more important transits of the week: Mercury squaring Mars tomorrow, Sun conjunct Pluto on the 11th. So 111, New Beginnings Day. We have the Sun conjunct Pluto. That's a very powerful day for empowerment. It begins the whole of the year's worth of uh, energy with between the Sun and Pluto. Mercury conjunct Saturn on Sunday, and Jupiter squaring Neptune on Sunday. So here we go. We're jumping right into what is probably the, if I had to choose a day of the month of January, besides the day of the lunar eclipse, January 20th, January 13th would be one of those days that I would have highlighted on my calendar, because there's so much going on, and that happens to be this coming Sunday. So we'll want to watch for how things are building through the week and how they culminate on Sunday and open up to a new pathway beginning next week. So if we come back into today, so I am being heard loud and clear. Okay, good morning, Debbie. Willa, good morning, Vicky, and everybody that's out there. If I've missed you, it's just so weird. I'm used to seeing everybody's pictures, and sometimes I recognize just by the picture who's listening. And this morning, I'm not seeing that as easily. So interesting, right? I see Alex in the background. I see Kathy in the background, and I see Emma in the background. Good morning to you three as well. So coming back to today. So I'm hesitating. I'm not sure where to start here with today, because today it's really one of those catalyst kind of days where even, let's see, we began the Human Design Week yesterday. And today we have Mars changing not signs, but changing gates. So there's a lot of kind of kookiness, let's call it, going on in the astrological signatures, because we think we're moving forward, and we are. We think we're moving forward. We definitely are. But it is much more of a deliberate motion that we're taking when we're moving forward. So sometimes we just feel like, oh yeah, we're going to just go and move in that direction. But this year, that kind of action really isn't favored. We're not like spaghetti throwers, where we can throw a bunch of spaghetti out there, see what sticks, and then go in that direction. That's a typical way for us to behave. That's a manifesting generator way to behave for sure. But most of us aren't manifesting generators, right? So we have to do things a little bit more deliberately. And even our manifesting generators this year are being told to have a plan, to have a goal, a vision, an idea of what it is that your goals are. So you have steps that you can take to move there. So today might be a really good day to sit back for a moment and reevaluate where you are, where you've been, and how does that set you up for where you want to go. And I was thinking about this myself this morning, because I have some key things that I need to change about the way I'm doing my business. And I should be doing that today, and I'm hesitating to do that. I'm hesitating to announce to you what I'm doing. And the reason I'm hesitating is because I don't have clarity around that yet. And I thought I would have had clarity by now, but I don't. One day I'll think I'll have clarity, and the next day I don't have clarity. And so then that makes things very confusing for me. And so I'm holding instead of taking action on it, because I don't have that yet. Does that make sense to everybody? Right? Sometimes the best course of action is to pause, to hold until you actually have the clarity you need in order to move forward. In particular, if you're doing something big in your life, if you're changing fundamentally the way that you're approaching your life, or doing the things that you're doing in your life. Good morning, Londa. Good to see you, pretty girl. So if you feel like there's that pause still going on for you, then honor that. Be okay with that. Just because, Mars is forward, the week is all about moving forward, doesn't mean that you just move forward without any idea of where your destination is taking you. Make sense? All right. So also today, Well, the reason I brought that up is because today the moon is in a sextile to Mars. A sextile is an ease and flow, a sharing of the responsibilities in the relationship between the moon, emotional soul self, and Mars, the action oriented, more egocentric self. So they're sharing of their gifts and talents back and forth today. And that's always very good because the moon in Aquarius can see things differently, can feel things differently, can feel their way forward instead of just seeing their way forward, hearing their way forward, or knowing their way forward. And Mars, of course, gives us the energy to be able to take those steps. So the moon and Mars working nicely together today, but it can have a conflict oriented side. It can be a little confrontational and it can trigger in us an impatience to take action. And then if we just throw action out there later, we may find we have to roll it on back. So that's why I'm saying if you have a caution sign today, honor the caution, right? On top of that, today, Venus is moving out of Scorpio, where she's been for a while now. Remember, she went retrograde. She was actually, when she entered in her retrograde zone, she entered it at 25 Libra, which quickly transitioned into Scorpio. She moved forward to about 10 or 11 degrees of Scorpio, turned retrograde, sat in Scorpio for a little bit longer. And then when she moved forward, which was what day? That was October something or another. No, she moved forward November 16th. Then she gets back into Scorpio, where she's been sitting ever since. Today, finally, we let go of the depth of Scorpio, that intense, passionate energy, and we move into the more fiery energy, to be sure, but the more adventurous energy of Sagittarius. And so Venus in Sagittarius, if we look at Venus through the energy of love and romance, and then we move it over to the financial arena of our lives, and then also our values, we can see that fundamentally there's a big shift in how that whole part of our life is now going to take on what energy is available for us to take on. Venus, representing romance and love in Sagittarius, is very adventurous and bold, right? So steamy, even, if you will. There's this energy of wanting to, be in love and love fully engaged with being, wholeheartedly in a relationship. So it brings us into being able to jump in and do things in a different way than we've ever done before. The one problem with Venus in Sagittarius is she can be a little blunt. And so you want to watch your words, right? Make sure you're not blurping out onto people the first thoughts that come to your mind. You want to take your time and you want to be very careful in how you say what you say. Venus in Sagittarius is also ruled by Jupiter. And in that case, then there's a bit of optimism in the air. And I noted almost, I think it was, maybe it was Friday or Saturday, you started seeing some good news in the financial markets where the return for the jobs outlook looked better than what they had anticipated for the last quarter. And so it bumped up the stock market. And I think for this temporary time, maybe up until about February 3rd, when she moves out of Sagittarius and into Capricorn, we may see a bump in an ebullience in the optimism around the financial markets. But I'm going to tell you guys, don't get fooled by this. This is temporary. Right? This is based on results of things that might have happened in the previous quarter. And there may be mixed signs, which may actually buoy some optimism about the financial markets. But then reality bites. And as we get into February, when Venus moves into Capricorn, any missteps financially that you might have taken come back to haunt you. So remember, the wisdom of 2019 is to be conservative, to be good stewards, to be resourceful. And the idea is cautious growth, cautious, not overly optimistic, not, just throwing caution to the wind and jumping ahead and doing whatever it is that, is in front of you. It is cautious development, cautious growth. So remember that and you will be fine. But those of you who go out and just decide, I'm going to buy big ticket items or I'm going to do big things with my money, might be disappointed when reality comes around in February and throughout, of course, the rest of 2019. Now, that doesn't mean that if there's a good, sound investment in front of you, that you don't take steps toward that. That is not what I'm saying whatsoever. But I'm saying that it has to be a cautious yet growth centric for the long haul. So something that's sustainable. So if it's not sustainable for you to throw $10,000 out there at a project or at a program or something like that, then don't do it. Don't do it, right? I think some people are already in the throes of ruining the day that they spent the money for what they bought for Christmas, or maybe for the decisions they made in October and November, as people were putting out their programs for the end of the year. So be very careful and wise about how you spend your money. And then lastly, Venus in Sagittarius rules as well our values. So one of the things I could tell you then is to keep in alignment with what you truly value. If something new comes along and it's the next shiny object, is that really in alignment with your true self, with your real values? Or is it just a distraction, right? Is it just a distraction? If it is a distraction, stay away. Right? Because that distraction, again, comes crashing down to earth when Venus moves out of Sagittarius in February, and early in February, I might add. Good morning, Vanita. Good morning, Heather. Good morning, everybody that I don't see out there. Mimi says, keep the soup simmering and taste test from time to time. Absolutely. I live along the ocean here, or I live along the water. The ocean's not far away. And how many times do we dive into the ocean, or do we tiptoe our way into a body of water, carefully testing the water before we go? Right now, you wouldn't want to jump into the water. It's so cold. But if you were really brave and you wanted to, I would suggest you tiptoe into the water rather than dive wholeheartedly into it. You never know what lies beneath the surface, right? You don't know if you've got an underwater sand mound or something that you're going to dive headlong into and break your neck, right? So tiptoe into things, be cautious. And that is a great words of wisdom there coming from Mimi. Mimi says, spot on. I've taken small, reasonable step that can be long or short term as the future shows the results. Exactly. It is much easier to draw back if you've only taken a step than it is if you've leaped to the opposite end and now you have to cross that chasm again and get back to where you started. So small steps forward. I know you're going to feel good. I know the energy is high. I know the optimism is high right now. But there are also those caution flags that are still there. Not about taking action necessarily, but about how it is that you take action. So I hope that makes sense for everyone out there. Colleen says the markets are a roller coaster. Let's not forget our president had 3 casinos and a football league fall into bankruptcy. My clients are telling me tariffs are affecting corporations they work for in a negative way. So definitely be cautious. I'm back. I blinked out. I have a feeling that my router needs a restart, or a what do they call those things? I don't know, a framework update or something like that. But as usual, I've lost the password to the dumb thing. And in order to do it, I actually have to unplug it, reset it, and then set a new password. I don't know why it is. It never remembers my password when I tell it to. So that may be what's going on. So I apologize for the blip in the screen. So be cautious, because you never know when you might blink out and then come back into a new reality. So let's look at human design this week, because I think it's really interesting. The 2 gates that the sun and the earth sit at are really gates that say all systems go. The gate 54 is where the sun is. That in human design is called the gate of ambition, drive, goal setting. It is the gate where you have your pulse on sort of the or your finger on the pulse of the direction that things are moving in. It is the stepping out toward enlightenment or toward accomplishment, whatever words you want to use for it. In the gene keys, where we take a look at that same energy, but from a holographic perspective. Holographic meaning we're looking at it through dimensions, right? We're not looking at it just superficially. We're looking at it from the shadow into the gift and into the siddhi, the highest expression of the energy. And what we see here is in the lowest energy, it's greed. It's greed, and it's aspiration in its gift, and it is ascension in the highest expression. So that gives me an opening to share something with you new that is going on, which is why I'm in a dilemma about what it is that I'm going to be doing with my morning show. Because starting on January 17th, I'm beginning a new afternoon radio show called Ascension and Astrology with my dear friend Cornelia Stephanie, who you all met here on my morning show as the Millionaire Imprint for Women. And she does a whole host of other things, including she has written a book. I think I shared the book with you, Peace, the Flip Side to Anger, How I Used My Emotions to Heal My Life and My Body, and How You Can Too. It is a very fabulous book. So she and I have been friends for a long time, and we're just getting back together to on a project that we are both pretty passionate about. She's passionate about ascension. I'm passionate about astrology. And so starting on Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific time, so that will be 7 p.m. East Coast time, Cornelia and I will be broadcasting here, initially at least on Be Live, and hopefully at some point we'll be broadcasting to a wider audience through the Transformation Talk Radio. We shall see how that plays out. So for the time being, for sure, on Thursday mornings, I will not be here. I will not be here in the morning. I will be in the afternoon at 4 p.m. Pacific, where Cornelia and I will share ascension and astrology. So it'll be kind of a fun look at things from her point of view and then also from my point of view. All right, so gate 54, back to that one, is on the root center. So it is the energy of stress in its lowest form, the stress that we feel to go out and do something, to go out and make something of ourselves, the stress that we feel toward enlightenment. It is the drive that we feel to succeed, to do, to be, to make something of ourselves, to, what's the other word I'm going to do, it totally went out of my head. To starts with C. Well, oh my God, I'm having a total brain fart. I'm obviously got a moment here. It doesn't matter. Contribute. There is the word, to contribute. It is our drive to contribute something of our authentic selves into the world. How did that word escape me? In the meantime, though, there's that stress energy that builds up in us. Not maybe, if our minds get involved, it's the confusion that pops up. The real energy, though, here is in the root center, and it is that drive to do. Remember, we talked about in coaching, if you've been a client of mine in deeper coaching, we always talk about the mystical circuit in your human design. And how is that set up for you? How is it that you're designed to engage on that mystical journey in your life? And how is it that you begin that journey? What prompts that enlightenment journey? This is also about what prompts that journey toward finding your true contribution to the planet. And so the sun sitting at that gate triggers our movement out into the world. The earth sits at gate 53, again on the root center. So the root center being that center for drive for us to do something, this is called the gate of starting things in human design. In gene keys, if we look at it holographically, we have the lower energy of immaturity, then we move into expansion, and then we move into superabundance. And I did not have time this morning to take a deeper look at that, but maybe one day we'll want to really look at what does superabundance mean. But if we're looking at immaturity in the lowest extreme, in the shadow, and I don't mean immature like we don't know what we're doing or something like that. It's immaturity as in things aren't quite coalesced into wholeness yet. And then as we move upward through that hologram, we come to expansion, where we're beginning to expand into that maturity. And that maturity, when fully expressed, becomes superabundance. And superabundance, this gene key 53 or gate 53, where the earth is sitting, is in the stream of fulfillment, meaning the stream of energy that it follows through your human design is about fulfillment. And how do we fulfill our desires? It begins with desire, moves up to that fulfillment energy, and eventually becomes, in the highest extreme or highest expression, ecstasy, right? The idea of, what does it mean to be ecstatic and to have everything, to be super abundant? What does that look like? And what would that be like on this planet? I doubt seriously we have that energy here right now, but it's the potential. That's what we're looking at. This is what we can strive for. And if I show you what your human design chart looks like this week, let's see if I can get this to a size where you guys can see it really well. We see this week, right? This is what the transits look like. We still have the sacral and the root center connected via the channel 360, the channel of transformation or mutation. It is where genetic anomalies create mutation for us as a planet, not just humans, but as a planet. So we're all being transformed by the energies that are taking place here. But we also see that the sacral takes off from the gate 34, the gate of action, and moves on up to, or maybe it begins here at gate 10 in the identity center and takes us down here. This is where we have the love of self, and we take it and we move it in. We take action along the lines of what it is that is good for us personally. And that it is that energy of self-centeredness, where I know a lot of us get tripped up in that idea of, what does it mean to be self-centered? Isn't that a bad thing? And in truth, no, self-centered isn't. It means that you know who you are. You are centered here. You know what your worth is. You know where you're going. You know what your gifts are. You know how to serve. You know how to share of your gifts and your talents. And when you are centered that way, you have the energy to be able to give and to share with others. So that is sort of the energy that we're looking at this week. We are building through our energy at the root center, through the pulse, the drive to become enlightened and to contribute from our centered selves what it is that we were here to share. And when we do that, there's a benefit to all of humanity and not just leaving it here at the self. So really becoming self-centered is really just another part of the hologram that takes us into the wider world, what it is that we're here to do as part of the tapestry of humanity. Also this week, see, I wrote all along my chart this today. It's kind of funny. Mars this morning moves out of the gate 25, the gate of universal love, where it had been sitting for the last several days, and is now in the gate 17, which we know is up on the ajna, the mind. This is a mind oriented gate, and it is the gate of opinion. So many of you may be tempted, because of that gate being defined right now by Mars, to say things or do things based on opinion. And of course, opinions are a dime a dozen. It is the shadow energy here. The gate of opinion is the shadow, opinion is the shadow energy in the hologram of what is possible for gate 17 or gene key 17. In the gift, we have farsightedness, the ability to see ahead. And in the highest expression, we have omniscience, being able to see from that higher perspective, from the perspective of the eagle, from the perspective maybe even of the phoenix, how things are taking us through destruction right now in order to be reborn into something new. And that gives us the path of service, in that this is all part of the stream of service. We're in the lowest energy, it's dissatisfaction, where we see things aren't like the way they should be. Like things don't feel good. If you look in our outer world right now, it does not feel good. There's not a part of me that really feels good about what's going on in our outer world here. except that on the like there's this niggling piece that I know is that everything is happening in its right and perfect way along a path of service that leads us to truth. So that is what this gate in particular, or this particular stream of energy, brings us to, is that idea of truth. Truth is in the offing, but it takes us from that dissatisfaction and anxiety and brings us up to, lifts us up into that next biggest energy. So let's see what people are saying here. Good morning. Willa says, good morning, Vanita. I hope you guys saw that. There aren't any other new comments. I am going to, at this point, I didn't want to get into, Pluto has moved into the gate 61. So maybe another day this week I will take that up. But I do want to draw a card for us for the week. And I'm going to draw the wisdom of the oracle for the week ahead. And I'm going to draw an animal spirit card for us for today. So let's do it, shall we? So I am pulling a card that is going to be something that we need to know for us moving forward this week. And I did draw a card earlier for myself, and it was chaos and conflict. It didn't really answer my question that I was asking, but it was interesting to have that card before I needed to come on air. And a change in the wind is what just fell out for us. This is representing the week. And if you note, it's card number 12. Where's my Suzanne out there? 12 is a 3, which kind of mimics this year. This numerological year is a 12 is a 3. So a change in the wind for the week. And 12 says, the essential meaning is a sense that unseen change has been initiated, preparation for a storm, awareness that your plans are not on firm ground, feeling a shift, but uncertain about what direction the winds will blow. So the oracle's message says it's human nature to yearn for certainty and resist change, to want the world to remain consistent like a zebra's stripes, yet nothing in human experience is black and white, nor will anything remain static. The one thing guaranteed is change. Now is a time of transformation as outer conditions are temporarily moving out of sync with your desires and expectations. Stay the course and remember that even storms serve to clear the air, scatter seeds, and nourish the soil for better things ahead. Life is about to get interesting. Anticipate with curiosity as you wonder what is coming in on the shifting winds. The unknown is where the magic lies. Interesting, interesting. Let's read the prosperity message for us from the same card. As you endeavor to create a prosperous life, you may encounter unexpected reversals that cause you to shift directions. This is a good thing, so there is nothing to fear. Perhaps an opportunity you sought went to someone else. Perhaps you've pursued something that you suddenly realize is not in your highest good. You might not be 100% clear on where you need to go, but you are certain that things are not going as planned. Circumstances are not in your control right now. Wait it out. All will be well. Even better, actually trust. So that's our card for the week, a change in the wind. And then let's draw a card for the day from the spirit deck, the spirit animal oracle. I'm going to tell you guys something really kind of fun. I don't usually pull cards to find out who's going to win a game, but the wild card football game between the Seahawks and the Cowboys was happening on Saturday. And of course, we're big football fans in my family. Part of my family are Cowboys fans. The bulk of us are Seahawks fans. So before we left, I thought, I'm going to get the animal cards out and I'm going to see who is going to win. So of course, there's not a Seahawk and there's no cowboy animal. So I had to kind of think about what might this look like? What might the card look like? So I went, okay. I looked up the birth dates of the quarterbacks because the quarterbacks are essentially the captains of the team. Russell Wilson, the quarterback for the Seahawks, is a Sagittarius. And I was like, woohoo, Jupiter's in Sagittarius. We're going to win. And then Dak Prescott, the Cowboys quarterback, is a Leo. And I went, okay, Leo. Okay, that's pretty good energy. That's leadership energy. So, good team, right? So then I draw my card. And what did I draw? I drew the lion. I drew the lion, which is the symbol, of course, for Leo. And I looked at my husband and I just was like crestfallen. I'm like, well, not that I am usually thinking that oracle cards are going to be a good way to predict a game, but it would appear that Dak Prescott has the edge here, according to the cards. And sure enough, the Cowboys won by 2 freaking points. Oh, man. I hate it when the cards are correct, right? Anyway, so kind of fun. All right, so let's pull a card for today from this animal deck. I was just scrambling them up a little bit since I played with them earlier today. So we need a card that is going to be for the day, an animal to guide us along the way. And what I get is Elephant Spirit. Learn from the past. And actually attached to Elephant Spirit. Yeah, no, not really attached. Elephant Spirit, learn from the past. Isn't that a pretty card? See it decorated with a jeweled forehead, third eye. Elephant Spirit is number 25, a 7. Learn from the past. So this is our message for the day. And it says, although we often wish we could leave the past behind, Elephant Spirit reminds us that memory matters. We must respect the wisdom of the elders who hand down to us traditions they have shaped to express our connection to each other and respect for the community. What has come before informs what we are experiencing today, and we must never forget our legacy of strength and dignity. Elephant Spirit appears with the message that we are to acknowledge that which came before and learn from it. All of us are memory-based creatures, and we must revisit the past to understand where we are and where we are going. The stories of events you experienced, the stories in our collective memory, and the stories of relationships you have had can be told many ways. What story will you tell? Ha. Elephant Spirit is here to encourage you to make it one that stirs in you a sense of power and dignity, for you have honored yourself by choosing to learn from your past. Spirit rejoices at your willingness to learn and grow. Elephant Spirit, which reminds me that when I was writing the January month for the Energy Almanac, which hopefully I'd be interested to know if any of you have ordered it. And if you've ordered it, have you received it already? I would love your feedback on what you think about it. But one of the main features of January that I wrote about back in September is that of the opportunity in January to retell your story. And it reminds me that I keep this thing in front of me. This was the envelope that my cruise pictures came in from last year. But it's how will you tell your story? And that's very apropos for January of this year, as we have a grand opportunity right now to rewrite the story. Remember, I suggested that the new moon solar eclipse on Saturday was like a tabula rasa, right? It was that blank slate, right? What are you going to write upon it? What will you write upon it? It's up to you. And learning from the past is informing you of what steps to take now. You have to honor that and then move forward. Debbie says, I ordered it but have not received it. I think they were beginning to go out at the end of December. I do believe. So hopefully you will get it soon. I was thinking of you as my house is Dallas. I have a grandson named Dallas who was named after the Dallas Cowboys. And so we always have Dallas in my mind. I love Dallas when they're not playing the Seahawks or the Patriots, because like Debbie, who is a Patriots fan, when I'm not cheering for the Seahawks, I'm cheering for the Patriots. I have a secret crush on Tom Brady, like probably most American women do, or a lot of them do. He and Peyton Manning. Anyway, totally different story, but anyway, that's it for me today. I hope everybody has a great day. At this point, I will be here tomorrow. But you have to know that my schedule is going to get a little wonky here over the next week. My daughter leaves on a trip on Friday the 11th, this Friday, and I'm taking care of her three dogs and my two grandkids. And I have grandma duty, meaning I've got to take them to school. I've got to be able to pick them up from school. And that may mean that I don't get to be here in the mornings. Nothing to fear. I will be here. I'm going to make a point to be here on Mondays and Fridays. Thursday, I will be in the afternoon on the Ascension and Astrology show. More information will come out this week on that. So don't panic if I don't come on. I'm not sick. I'm just having to play with my schedule a bit. And in the meantime, you all have a wonderful day. Take care. Mwah! Much love to you. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.